Hello, everyone. I'm June Riley, founder and CEO of VC Task Force. Thank you for joining us today. We have an absolutely marvelous program, which is called Gary's Picks. And we have this twice a month, and Gary is a phenomenal interviewer, and he just collects phenomenal interviewees, which you will find today. So take it away, Gary.
Thanks, June. It's great to be here today. Veronique, it's good to see you. My name's Gary Fowler. I'm a serial entrepreneur investor. I've been involved in 17 startups and several unicorns. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Yva.ai, an AI tech company that I founded with Dr. David Yang. We believe that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, but opportunities are not. And the name of my company that I founded is GSD, which is Get Shit Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio. And with that, we have an incredible guest today, Veronique, all the way from the Netherlands. She's going to talk to us about her company, Silatha. She's going to talk about her background. And I'm going to ask questions like, Veronique, how in the world did you go from industrial design to this idea of meditation in Silatha? How did it come up?
Well, it's been quite a journey, I must say. So yeah, I started as an engineer, but then I had quite about 17 years in international marketing. And 10 years ago, I looked at my life and I was like, okay, I ticked all the boxes. I did everything to be a good girl, to be happy, to kind of get on that path of fulfillment. But I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't happy. And it was more like an emptiness within. And that brought me on a journey, which led me to meditation. And it's been a long story. So I went to Nepal to start a meditation course. This is 10 years ago, so there were no meditation apps. So I really went there. I decided not to go to that meditation course, but go paragliding in Himalayas. Crazy idea, but in the end, the best way.
Wait a minute, you went paragliding in the Himalayas?
Yes,
what was going on? Because there had to be something happened to you. What happened to make you want to do this? What happened? There was a trigger point to change you. We're working for Kraft, right? You worked for Kraft a number of years, but what was the trigger point that said you said you were a good girl? What does a good girl mean? And then what happened? That are you not good now? No, or you're better, or what happened? It's interesting.
I'm definitely better, but so yeah, I think as a woman, you're very much trained to be a good girl, and what does that mean? It's like you be nice to people, you do what's expected from you, you make your career, you marry a good guy, you do all the steps in life that society expects from you. You like pretty much, you look at a romantic movie, like if she has the perfect life, these are the steps, and so I think in that sense, I've been a good girl for making all that steps in my life. And
you made all those steps. You got married. You had the great job, family, all that stuff. And then what happened? What happened one day? Did a button just, all of a sudden, like one of those lights go off and said, I need to make a change. I'm going to Nepal. How did that work?
Pretty much. It was really, I looked at my life and I was like, I'm not happy in my marriage. I'm not happy in where I am in my life. I just did everything because, I mean, he was a good guy, he was a great guy, but wasn't fulfilling me in my needs. My job, I liked my job and I liked my colleagues, but it wasn't enough. I wasn't doing it from the heart. Mm-hmm. And so I was really looking for something. Maybe that is something that man get in midlife crisis. I have no idea what exactly that was.
Did you have a midlife crisis? Is that it?
It was at the age of 32 or something.
Oh,
so it wasn't really midlife. But I definitely like going paragliding in Himalayas is very dangerous. So for that, I didn't look at my life as a very precious thing. I'm apparently I'm the first woman ever to paraglide in the Himalayas. So I really felt it doesn't matter what, but something needs to change. And sometimes then life just throws something at you and you grab it. And for me, that was going into the Himalayas and being pretty much for a couple of days on my own in this beautiful landscape. I had a porter who was carrying my bag, but we didn't speak the same language. So for these days to get up to 5,500 meters, I was pretty much on my own. And on my way there, I met a Buddhist, and he told me about meditation, and I will never forget how beautiful he described it. He said, you honor your breath for the life it gives to you. And that is what I did for those days. I was simply focusing on my breathing, and that is then when so we reached the top, and then we did paraglide down, and it was cool, but it was the next
Paraglided
day.
down by yourself?
No, with my pilot. So I had a pilot. You cannot like. I was living. In
Maybe it's like one of these
Switzerland.
James Bond's movies, you know?
Yeah. I didn't do it all alone. That would have been quite crazy. But he was the only one actually who wanted to take me. Most paragliders don't go there.
Wow, that's amazing. And so, were you married when this happened, or was this after you got divorced?
I got divorced before. I was kind of.
I was going to say, if you were married during that,
Yeah, no. I mean,
once you stopped, did you think to yourself, well, that was pretty crazy. I can't believe I did that. Once you did it, did you reflect back and say, or did you say to yourself, maybe I ought to go swimming with some sharks and, maybe other things I should do?
I didn't, when I went on it, I didn't really realize the danger about it, because you normally don't go paragliding in the Himalayas because you can't predict the termex, and so you can just drop and fall down.
Yeah, you can go right up, right? You can go up.
You can go right up, you can go that, like you just don't know what happens, and that's why they do. It took me actually a while when I heard, like I got the idea myself, and then I went to all these in Nepal, then you have all these offers, and so all these ticket boxes, they were like, no, we don't do that. And so I went to the next one, until with the last one there was actually a guy who was willing to take me there. But so I didn't really realize the danger of it, and I didn't feel at that moment of time it would even matter. Like I was kind of so much looking for a change in my life.
Wow. That's amazing. And how long were you married?
Well, we were together for 8 years.
Wow. So, I mean, you just had to have that experience, and this was it, and kind of cleanse you. And what happened once you have that? Did it change you? Did you change, or was it over time that you started to change?
It started over time. So the day after the paragliding, I walked on my own through the Himalayas, and being alone in that landscape, I felt for the first time that I could remember, I felt incredibly happy. And it was really coming from here, and not because I achieved something or some external circumstances. And so that feeling, that was so powerful. And I knew then, okay, this is something I want to learn more about, how I can have more of this feeling, because that was what I was looking for. And that kind of set me on this journey to go to monasteries and retreats and learn all about meditation, and get more connected to myself, because being an engineer and having grown up in a quite rational family, I always thought I was very rational, whereas actually I'm hypersensitive. And so meditation really helped me to listen to my inner self, and what I really, your body, for example, knows before your brain knows what's going on. So I learned really, like, how can I listen to my body? How can I listen to what is really important to me? And that changed. I'm happier than ever right now. So and that's not because I have a lot of free time. That's not because I have a lot of money. It's really because I live a life according to my values and according to what I really want.
Well, how different is your life now compared to before? So how do you, what's different?
I work more. I, I
Wait a minute, is that a good thing? You work more and?
Well, the thing is, I don't. I spoke with someone today as well, and it's not work for me. Building your own company and building something you really love and you're passionate about, it's really not working. So my life is very structured, but I sleep every night. I sleep 8 hours, and it's like, don't touch this. I'm a person that needs a lot of sleep, and with 8 hours, I feel great. I sport almost every day, so I do a lot of exercise. I meditate every day,
Mhm.
and I see friends, and I have a very still the social moments, even though most of the days I'm working till late at night.
Right.
I feel very energized, and I feel really good because I'm doing something that I believe is changing the world.
And so when you were working at Kraft, did you believe you were changing the world?
Funny enough, I thought I had some impact in a tiny way. So I worked on coffee and chocolate and biscuits, and you learn a lot about like coffee, for example, that first cup of coffee in the morning. It's quite an emotional moment. People love it and they wake up from it, and I was like, how can I make that moment more special? How can I influence millions of people, making that moment more special? And so for me, it gave me some sort of like, okay, this is worth some of my time. Now the feedback I get from people, I'm seriously changing their lives, which is not compared. Like, so it's a joke how I could think with a cup of coffee to change something. Now people are really feeling differently about their lives and starting to live in a different way, and that is, yeah, that's
No, that's great. So, but how did you, so did you one day come up and say, I want to develop this, Silatha, I want to develop this app? How did you come up with it? What did it happen over time, or just one day you said, oh, I want to do this. I've decided I like it so much, I'm going to build something around it.
No, it's been it's been pivoted and evolving over time. So the first thing how it came to life was because I've been in all these monasteries and I learned how to meditate, but I couldn't bring it into my day-to-day life. So I would come back, and within a week, 2 weeks, I lost it. And so I
What
did a
did
lot
you
of
lose?
research.
Veronique, what did you lose?
This glow,
Hmm.
this feeling of really being connected to yourself.
Hmm.
That was something that by being in a monastery, I could go back to it. But then in my day-to-day life, I was taken into the red and wasn't meditating. And so that is, yeah, so that would disappear. And so doing the research on how to develop a new habit in your life. And I understood that having an anchor really helps in
An anchor, what do you
anchoring
mean?
you.
What do you mean by an anchor? Do you mean by the person, or do you mean a feeling, or what is that?
An object. So what we did is we developed actually a piece of jewelry that could be there as an anchor.
Jewelry is an anchor.
Sorry, Dorje?
Yeah, the jewelry is an anchor. You were saying jewelry as an anchor that could always be there, yeah?
Exactly, because you can carry it with you, so you meditate with it, and then you can take it with you.
I got it.
And that was kind of the first idea. But we would sell the jewelry, but then we had a simple meditation app coming with it, and no one really asked for the meditation. So I thought, well, I didn't want to put a new piece of jewelry in the world. I really wanted to bring meditation into the world. And so then we pivoted and realized how actually imbalanced the world is, especially when you look at work, for men and for women. So if you look at the workplace, it's really designed by men for men, because 100 years ago women weren't working, so it was total logical to create it in that sense.
Mhm.
But in the end, a woman is a baby factory. right? That is from nature. We having a monthly period, then we become pregnant, we get at some point, we all get into menopause and whatever is in between. And this is fact of life. These are realities that are there, but they're all taboos. So all of that is not spoken about. And so what actually happens is that women don't feel they can bring their whole self to work. Only 25% of women feel included in the workplace. And that is when I realized, I mean, how can we create and design the workplace of the future where women feel empowered and valued, and where women actually really can bring their whole self, so they can unleash their full potential and they can really be successful in that space as well. So that is kind of how it grew over time, and how we now really working on changing that workplace. And we do that. Meditation is part of it still, because I do believe in the power of meditation, because it's a tool to be in the present moment. It's a tool to connect to yourself. And I think it's brilliant if everyone would meditate, but there's way more than that when it really comes to these women topics. So what we really do is creating communities of like-minded women and connecting them. So women that go through menopause, they suffer through similar things, and they can really support each other way more than anyone else can. So creating those communities, help them to get into meditation, make them support each other, and then bringing in experts and well-being workshops, and helping them to stop their inner critic, and helping them to really set their boundaries and take care of themselves. And so actually there's a safe space that we create for women in the workplace.
Wow, that's great. And you said 25% of the women, only 25% think that they are happy or feel like they should be at their work, right? What do they think? What's the other 75% think? And how do you go about helping to change that?
Yeah, so a lot of women don't feel included. They don't feel, just to give an
Included in
example.
what? Yeah. Tell me what, because it's interesting. You know, it's a friends, is it because it's interesting. Go ahead.
So just to give a very simple, basic example, which is a lot of women wouldn't put a picture of their family on a desk. And I think if there's women listening now, they will be like, yes, indeed, I won't put a picture of my family on my desk. Because they will be judged. In one hand, oh, she has a family, so maybe career-wise, this is not a right thing. Let's not promote her too much. Sometimes with good intentions, but also at 5, like, oh, maybe she's going already, like picking up the kids. And even sometimes the judgment of like, oh, it's already 5 and she's still working. Yep. Whereas a man putting a picture of his family on the desk is, oh, he's a family man. Oh, it's so nice. Look at this picture. That's so cute. So there's a lot of positivity around that for men, where there's a lot of negativity around that for women.
Wow, that's interesting. So did you put your family pictures on your desk?
Oh, no, never.
No, never. Not at all. Interesting.
No.
And then, so as you've gone down through this revolution, you've developed this award-winning solution to help women feel empowered. Like, what you say happiness, but what other kind of changes in your life? What kind of changes can people expect by finding this? You know, it's almost like self-actualization, as Maslow said on his hierarchy of needs. So what do you feel like? How is it? How different is your life today? I know happiness is there and you feel fulfilled, but what else?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So as you say, like, feeling safe is really important, and so that is something that we create. And so if I look at my life right now, I don't want to please everyone anymore. So that is something that women also struggle with a lot. Just
they want to please. And how does that work? What do you mean please everybody? What does that mean?
Women often don't make decisions because you always making someone unhappy. And so very often they go for making them themselves unhappy, so that at least the other people are there and they being good to everyone. So women are often people pleaser. I'm a people pleaser. And now I'm like, okay, I can see someone is not happy with what I do. Do I believe I did something wrong, or if I had any bad intentions? No. Okay. Well, then it's okay. And it won't eat that voice in the head that just keeps on chatting and that keeps on going to tell me this is right, this is wrong, don't do this. Oh, look at that face. Maybe you said something that upset him or her. So all of that chatter is, well, I wouldn't say gone. It's not that I'm Buddha, but for a big part, I recognize when it starts. And then I'm like, hey, Veronique, what are you doing? This is not important. And I let it go. And so I sleep at night like a baby. I really like.
So you sleep better than you used to sleep.
Yes, I would be totally wet and sweaty as if I was being in a pool, and it was this unconscious stress that was there. So you know it's not normal, and you know like something must be wrong, but I was like, well, I couldn't place my finger on it. So I feel light. I have an energy that keeps me going. And I think I've been more compassionate than I was before, because that chatter has calmed down, so I can see way more what's actually going on.
Wow, that's great. So the women out there that are listening, how do they use it, and where are you with it, and how do they become part of this incredible technology?
Yes, so the best, if women are listening, is to go to your HR and see if they want to bring in Silatha, because then we really can develop the whole program within the company. But if you're a freelancer or if you're on your own, everyone can download the app, and there is meditation and workshops on there that everyone can follow. But when
what
we
do you
go
mean? Are they virtual workshops, or are they on premise?
They are, so at the moment they are digital workshops, and sometimes they are live. So sometimes we do it at a special moment, but then the recording is still there. What we do in the companies, we actually often make it a live event, hybrid, because some women, it's still the office, and some women prefer to be anonymous, and that's absolutely no problem. So on the app,
anonymous.
Yeah, because we talk about topics like miscarriage, IVF journey. Sometimes menopause is also still quite a taboo, pregnancy. So some women don't want to show with their name, and that's why we keep it hybrid, so that women can call in and put in a different name than their real name, but they can still listen in and ask questions in the chat. But what a program pretty much looks like is we start with creating bonding. So we bring in the women that go through the same, whether that is menopause, female leadership, a very important one, especially because in Europe, there's a new law to have by 2026, 40% of the board should be women. So how can we help them to really grow into that position?
Wow.
But it can be pregnancy, how to combine motherhood with career, PMS, etc. So these women that are in that pillar are all experiencing the same. We bring them together, and so they start to talk about their experiences.
Do they talk with one another a lot? Did they have communication and say, how did you feel? And
exactly.
Wow,
yes, and
great.
what they experience. So whether it is how the menopause is for them, what kind of symptoms they have, what they struggle with, and that. So it's very personal. So they get together, they connect, and then we start our meditation challenge on the app. So we bring these women on the app in a private group that no one else can see. And every day we motivate them to do meditation on the topic that they are. So if that's menopause, then we guide them to the menopause series, and then do everyday meditation. They're pretty short, so it doesn't take a lot of time. And when they are done, to tell the group, like, how was it? So that motivates the rest of the
Oh,
group.
that's great. That makes it exciting, right?
Exactly. You don't do it on your own. You kind of feel you have a kind of accountability towards each other. And so that is for the first month. Then we have another workshop, and we bring then in an expert. So an expert start to talk about the topic on what they need to know, because, for example, menopause, a lot of doctors do not know much about it and how it really works and when it starts and the symptoms and so on and what they can do. So we give them more information, and then we continue. They can also on the app, they can chat with each other, they can meditate together, so they stay connected, so that when they are awake at night, maybe there's some other women that are actually awake at night, which is menopause often the case. And then every month we get back together, we work on their well-being, we work on their limiting beliefs, on self-care. And so that is how we kind of progress, while these women are getting closer and closer. And so the office is no longer a space where they feel unsafe. It becomes really a place where they have their allies, where they have their women that they can go to. I actually only recently, I didn't know there was this research done in P&G. And they had a survey, and one of the questions that a lot of them asked, like, oh, that's a weird question. It was, do you have a best friend at work? And it appeared that actually the people who had the best friend at work were the least likely to resign, and were the most engaged with the
Oh,
company.
that's it. That's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is really interesting. So listen, we're coming up to the top of this show. Closing thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you?
So they can reach out to either Veroniek at Silatha.com. So that is a good way, or connect to me on LinkedIn.
Great, super. Well, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. And thanks to all the audience out there for joining one more time. Gary's picked, and I'm the host, Gary Fowler. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. June, do you have any closing words, closing thoughts?
Yes, Veronique, if you can send me a letter or an email that you would typically send to a woman's group introducing your product, send it to me and I'll send it out.
Oh, yes, amazing. Thank you.
Excellent.
That's
And Gary, thank you so much for an absolutely wonderful interview. And thank you for being so candid, Veronique. And I look forward to the next interview. So
Sounds great. Take care, everybody. Take care,
Take
June.
care.
Take care, Veronique. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.